What's up, everybody? Joe Byron here of Joe Knows Stuff TV. In tonight's episode, I'm going to show you how to do true fire flames on your one-wheel fender. Stay tuned to the end of the video where I'll show you where to buy the paint, what paint to use, what colors, how to achieve a great look, and all things necessary. Stay tuned. Alright, welcome back, boys and girls. In today's episode, we are going to be doing a paint job on a one-wheel, the fender of a one-wheel. I've left the plastic on for now. I'm taking it off right now. We're going to be putting a set of flames on this bad boy. First thing you do whenever you want to airbrush something is scuff it a little bit. Now this is plastic, so it's going to scuff real easy, so I'm not putting much pressure. All I'm wanting to do is create a little tooth for my House of Color brand urethane. Will stick to the surface a little better. Now keep in mind, this does put little scratch marks on your paint, but you're going to be clear coating it with a thick coat of Krylon or your particular brand of clear. I just tend to use Krylon on small items like this. Alright, I will be fast forwarding it through certain parts of this video, but for the most part, we'll stay on point. Now, the first thing we want to do is clear our airbrush. This is Pavo Purple in House of Color brand. There's the logo. I've got some thin paints here. Let's put just a little bit. We don't need much. Just enough to fill it up. And then what I do is I test it on something black like this to make sure it's running real good and smooth. Now with the purple, I don't recommend making it very dark. It looks like it's running real good. I don't recommend putting in a lot of purple. You just want enough to give a good reflection. Now I'm going to take the purple down the back just a little bit too. And I'm not going to put any reds or anything. Now this purple has some metal flake in it. That's going to make it real pretty whenever we go to put our clear coat on. Clear coat makes everything come out a little better. Okay, this is a real fire engine red, so it's got a little bit of orange in it. Now what I do is I follow the same trails I made with the purple, except with the red. That way the red turns into the purple. Now I'm going to be hitting this with a deep red scarlet candy color, Kandy Concentrates. Like I say, all this will be covered with orange and yellow eventually. That's when I'll start to use the templates. True fire is made true because of all the complex layers that are within it. The depth of the richness of the paint, in other words. I'm using an Awada HPC. I like these little sparks. You don't want to add too many. 3 little sparks will do it. Now let's just add some more texture. Okay, I've started using the templates now. The templates are 3 sets, small, medium, and large. I'm using the small set here, set A. You just use them randomly as you go. And you don't want to use them to make the tips. You want the tips to be kind of wispy. You want to use them for some of the inner curls, the inner curves. And you can see how I'm layering it. I'm using different colors like red, and then I'll use a red base coat, and then I'll use a candy red on top of it. And you want to do that with all your colors. Use a yellow base and then put a candy on top of it. And that gives a much more dynamic range when you clear coat it, because you'll actually see through the candy. The light will reflect off the base coat underneath the candy and come through, and it'll make it look almost three-dimensional. I'll give the colors names that I used here too. Alright guys, welcome back. I added some more purple to the outside edges. I wanted to give it a little more purple. I even added some down here. I rarely do that, but this is an extreme bike and I want to give it some purple. I added a little bit more yellow. I even mixed a new color, a little bit of a lemon yellow, just to give that dynamic range. Now what you want to do is use a tack cloth like this one. You buy them anywhere for a hardware store, and just tack it off. It absorbs all the dust and paint. And what I do is go in one direction and just get everything off. You can see quite a bit comes off. When an airbrush throws its paint, it throws it in a series of dust away from the direct flow. All that dust gathers on the substrate, in this case the one wheel fender. You want to get it off, and you can use a napkin, a soft bounty napkin, but the best bet is with a tack rag. Now what I do is I just literally turn it over and do it again, and this time we'll go a different direction. Okay, the trick to real fire is just the softness. You want to capture the softness. You want some crispiness. That's why you use the templates, but for the most part it's soft. Now if this was a large object like a car, motorcycle tank or something, I would not use the spray can from a clear. This is Rust-Oleum. It's just ultra cover. It's just a clear paint. How I recommend shooting clear is to shoot a thin layer over it that looks tacky, that's not got a gloss to it, and let it set for like 60 seconds with spray paint, 10 minutes if you're using a blowgun, and then put a heavy coat on it. Alright, let's spray this clear. Alright, that'll be enough for one coat. I'll let it set for just a minute, and then I'll feel it right here. And when I feel it getting to the right amount of tackiness, I want it to be just a little bit tacky. I want it to dry a little bit, because that sets it in. But I want it to be just a little bit tacky. Now that's too tacky. It's too wet. I want it to be kind of jello-like, I guess you'd call it, instead of liquidy-like. Alright, we'll speed this up. Okay, about 5 minutes have elapsed, and this is tacky enough. Now, the reason I let it tack out is because it's the first coat, and I want it to be tacky. Now I can spray a thicker coat, and it will attach to the tackiness, and the tackiness will hold it from running. You don't want to do too much now. There's a fine line here. I always start out on something basic, and then I'll just do even passes, sort of keeping my nozzle at the same distance. And then I'm going to spray a little bit down at the bottom to make sure I get the bottom side. That should do it. That should give me a good coating. I may coat it again once this dries. I'm going to give this at least probably overnight to dry, and then I might shoot it again tomorrow, just depending on how I feel about it. It's all interpretive. Back to the end of the video, guys, where I'm going to show you where to go to get your paint. First of all, go to a browser, go to Coast, Airbrush, airbrushing.com. Let's see if we can get this to pull up here, right there. And the store's huge. It's absolutely huge. You can find it by going to the menus over here. I recommend just search our store button right there and search for True Fire, T-R-E-E-F-I-R-E. And you're going to get all these videos starting out. The video 69 here, 49 here. You got your templates here that are 112 for, it's 3 sets of Diablo, 3 sets of Wildfire, 3 sets of Inferno, and you've got the Nano templates. These stencils come put together. You have to cut them apart. They come with little attachments. It's real easy to do. And then they've got a mini series. This is one I don't have, but I hate to do this to you guys, but you can make your own stencils. I mean, these guys give you the templates themselves. So all you have to do is download it, you know, get it in your Photoshop or whatever, blow it up to whatever size, print it off, and then you can cut it out of something like Pelon, which this company does sell. But I'm here to encourage you, buy legitimately through this company, blah, blah, blah. Okay, green and blue True Fire has been real popular. There's a kit for that in 4 ounce. There's a kit for the True Fire, which is the orange, yellow, the colors that you need for the colors I put on my one wheel. Now, you've got the whole kit right here for $2.99 for 4 ounces. That's the stencils, the video, the thinner, bottles to mix with, and the paints. So this is kind of where you want to set yourself out as, unless you want to make your own stencils, which will save you about 80 bucks or so, it looks like. Now, the paints you're going to use are going to be 4 ounces of Molly Orange, which is a base coat, Chrome Yellow, another base coat, and then black and white. You always need that. The reason they put white in there is so that you can mix it with the Chrome Yellow to give it a little bit of a candlestick yellow or a white based yellow for that really hot part of the flame. Now, why do they throw in a passion pearl? So that you can coat any of these colors with a pearl essence to give it that little bit of a three-dimensional shine. Why isn't there a red base coat? Because you use the orange as a base coat for the red, and then throw a heavy layer of Kandy Concentrate apple red over the Molly Orange, and that turns the Molly Orange a deep red. So there's no need to include a red whenever you've got the red in candy. You got Intercoat Clear, which is what you mix your candies with, and you've got the reducer and mixing bottles and all that. Now, the secret to True Fire is the layering of the paints. You want to start with your Molly Orange. In this case, I start with a red base coat, and then I put an apple red candy over the red, and then I go to Molly Orange, and then I'll put a candy apple red over that, and I will get a variation in tone from doing that, from actually using a red base coat instead of just starting with the Molly. I will get a variation because a candy going over a different color is going to create a different result, because the candy's transparent. It mixes with whatever's underneath. Once you throw your orange on there and you've got your red, you've got your reds totally done. Your reds, and if you put purples in it like I did, you want to do some purples first, or your blues. Blues look good coming off of the flames too. You put your reds on. Once you get your reds, you start with your oranges. Then you start with your tangerine candy color, Kandy Concentrate they call it, to bring out that orange. Then you go to your yellows and you put the Pagan Gold over the Chrome Yellow to bring it out. Now, why do you use candies over base coat? It creates a three-dimensional effect. And the reason is your base coat is there. You cannot see through the base coat. There's no visibility underneath. But when you put a candy on top of that base coat, it's transparent. You actually look through it to see the base coat. As you're looking through it, and that light reflects off that base coat through that candy, it gives sort of a three-dimensional look. It's the effect that you have to have for efficient and successful true fire is using those Kandy Concentrates. And House of Color brand Kandy Concentrates are the best in the world by far. Guarantee it. That's the secret. The other secret is knowing how to use the stencils. Now, I can make a long video on how to do the stencils, but it's quite simple. You don't want to use the stencils to create the tips of the flames. You want the tips of the flames to be kind of free-handed and kind of with the airbrush. You want to use the stencils for the curls within, because that's where a flame gets crispy or gets where the stencils are needed. Sometimes you can use the stencils like a curved one going this way and a curved one going that way to create a tip. But then you want to throw a little fog to it or a little airbrush to break it down so it's not so crispy. That's the secret to true fire, and I hope you get out there and do some. It's quite simple. You don't have to be an airbrush artist to do true fire. You really don't. You have to be able to control an airbrush and be able to understand its dynamics. But you don't have to be a true artist. You can download a picture of the type of flames you want to do and then just duplicate it. It's quite literally that simple. Alright, that's going to do it for this edition of Joe Knows Stuff TV. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, feel free to leave me a like, leave a comment, smash that subscribe button, or click that little bell icon to find out about other videos I'll be putting out soon. This is actually a photography channel, but I'm going to break it off every now and then and go into other stuff that Joe knows. Alright, till next time, Joe Knows Stuff TV is out.